It's the next generation of TV technology.
It's taking the over-the-air environment and making it digital.
It's a real upgrade for viewers.
So the reason why we have a new system is because everything's changing in the media landscape.
Do you watch KSAT using an antenna? If so, you're what's called an over-the-air viewer.
It's great quality. It's the best quality you can get because it's a pure stream.
But over-the-air viewers don't have the same options as people who stream television.
Live from KSAT 12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
The hunt is on for the killer of a kitten, a man who police say did horrible things to a cat at this apartment complex. We'll have a video clue for you.
It's Veterans Day, a day to honor and pay tribute to those who served our country. I'm Madeline Lambert, and coming up, I'll show you how some local veterans spent the holiday.
And temperatures have bottomed out earlier this morning. It's only upward from here. We'll talk about the warming trend, the humidity, what the return of the humidity means, and an update on our rain chances in just a bit.
New at 6, a San Antonio police officer facing 3 felony counts of injury to a child. SAPD says Officer Jacob Ryan turned himself in to the Bexar County Sheriff's Office. That's after a warrant was issued for something that happened while he was off duty in 2024. According to court records obtained by KSAT, Ryan is accused of hitting the same juvenile multiple times last year. Officer Ryan is a 5-year veteran of the police department. Thank you for joining us here at 6 o'clock. I'm Myra Arthur.
And I am Ernie Zuniga. A U.S. Congressman refusing to answer our questions about his alleged relationship with a staffer who died after catching on fire.
So the Bexar County Medical Examiner has ruled the death of Regina Santos Aviles as a suicide. She was Representative Tony Gonzalez's regional district director in Uvalde.
So KSAT Investigates Daniela Ibarra has been asking several questions about this story for nearly 2 months. So Daniela, how did we ultimately get to here today?
Yeah, so Uvalde police and DPS have spent most of the fall investigating Santos Aviles' death. This afternoon, I asked for an update, but I haven't gotten one. Representative Gonzalez has also refused to address Santos Aviles' death. Back in September, we had to ask him for a statement. It said that he was, quote, heart-stricken. Gonzalez avoided speaking with KSAT since then, and several news organizations, including the Daily Mail, are reporting Gonzalez and Santos Aviles were having an affair. The outlet says it began shortly after she joined the office in 2021. Many of his constituents have asked us to press Gonzalez about those allegations. We've reached out to him and his spokesperson at least 15 times in nearly 2 months, and I didn't get any responses. We also reached out to family members who would not confirm that. We've told you about KSAT and other news outlets being uninvited from an event Gonzalez appeared at. It happened just days after Santos Aviles' death. He has not made himself available to us since that canceled media event. Last week, his office actually invited us to a Veterans Day event at Fort Sam Houston. This is not the way that we wanted to talk with Gonzalez, but it is the only opportunity that we've gotten in nearly 2 months. We caught up with him before the ceremony this morning.
Congressman, my name's Daniela Ibarra. I'm with KSAT. We've been trying to get a hold of you multiple
It's Veterans Day. It's Veterans Day. I hope you're talking about veteran stuff. Are you talking about veteran stuff? If you're not, you should be talking about it. It's a beautiful Veterans Day here in San Antonio.
We've been trying to reach out to you multiple times to ask. Multiple media outlets have reported that you had an affair with Santos Aviles. Is there any response you have to that?
We're here at Fort Sam. We're here at Fort Sam here at the ceremony. Please have some respect. Thank you.
I understand, but veterans fought for my right to ask you questions.
Hey, how are you doing?
Gonzalez, by the way, is planning to run for another term in Congress last month, or actually in September. His campaign sent us an email saying Republican House leadership endorsed him. As for the investigation into Santos Aviles' death, we asked for an update this afternoon, but of course have not gotten one. And the city of Uvalde is fighting the release of records related to her death. Myra, Ernie.
All right, Daniela, thank you. KSAT is learning more tonight about the lawsuits filed against Camp Mystic after 27 girls died in the July 4th floods. We know at least 4 lawsuits have now been filed, some by groups of families and 2 by individual families.
So we're now hearing from one of those families as well as the camp itself. Our Courtney Friedman asked for more information about this, and she got a response from Camp Mystic.
Parents' worst nightmare. Ellen was amazing. She was so excited to go to camp with her big sister.
Jennifer and Douglas Getton's 8-year-old daughter Ellen was one of the 27 girls who died at Camp Mystic during the July 4th floods.
We would like for them to acknowledge they made some mistakes, and we would like for them to say our daughters' names.
We were supposed to pick our daughter up from camp, both daughters, on July 26th, and said we had a funeral on July 16th. We don't want that to happen to anyone else ever. It's unacceptable.
For those reasons, the Getton family filed a lawsuit Monday against the camp and its owners. Theirs was among several lawsuits from families of victims who claimed the camp provided no evacuation training, ignored flood warnings, and failed to evacuate campers.
After these lawsuits came in, I reached out to Camp Mystic, and their team responded to me with 2 separate statements, one from the camp itself and the other from their attorneys.
The camp's full statement to KSAT says, "We continue to pray for the grieving families and ask for God's healing and comfort." The camp's legal counsel sent us this separate statement. "We intend to demonstrate and prove that this sudden surge of floodwaters far exceeded any previous flood in the area by several magnitudes, that it was unexpected, and that no adequate warning systems existed in the area. We disagree with several accusations and misinformation in the legal filings regarding the actions of Camp Mystic and Dick Eastland, who lost his life as well. We will thoroughly respond to these accusations in due course."
At least 2 of these lawsuits are seeking more than $1 million. KSAT is following all of this closely, and we will update you if any more lawsuits are filed. From the newsroom, Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
Well, the aftermath of a high-profile trial continues. One day after 3 former San Antonio police officers were found not guilty in the 2023 shooting death of Melissa Perez, both the police union and one of the defense attorneys are speaking out. The San Antonio Police Officers Association says the decision to prosecute the 3 former officers, Nathaniel Villalobos, Alfred Flores, and Eleazar Alejandro, was political. Union President Danny Diaz says the verdict highlights fear among officers who feel unsupported while doing their jobs. Defense attorney Nico LaHood also criticized police leadership and the district attorney's office, calling the case a mistake from the start. Moving forward, LaHood says the 3 former officers will seek answers and possible legal action.
And there was a lot of things done wrong that I'm not at the liberty to say right now. But we intend to do our best to hold people accountable based off of what the law gives us.
We reached out to both SAPD and the district attorney's office for comment today. Chief William McManus was not available for an interview, and the DA's office was closed today due to the Veterans Day holiday.
A Bexar County woman is accused of putting a child in the driver's seat, and that earned her a ride to jail. Bexar County Sheriff's deputies arrested 25-year-old LaDasia Pickett Sunday afternoon. They say that she told a girl who was younger than 10 years old to grab the keys and move a car out of a driveway. This was outside of a home in West Bexar County on Gossan Springs near Talley Road in Wiseman. Investigators say that little girl ended up crashing into a neighbor's car and then jumped out of the car that she was in. She had a cut on her head and road rash. Pickett, who is not the girl's mother, is facing charges of injury to a child and endangering a child. San Antonio police are counting on some photos to help them catch a killer. They say the man caught on camera did something that we all would have trouble picturing. He purposely killed a kitten.
Here, Katrina Weber spoke with neighbors who could not believe what they were seeing, and we do need to warn you, parts of this story are tough to hear.
If this kitten could talk, it might tell what sounds like a horror story. Instead, a neighbor at this apartment complex not far from Southwest Military and South Zarzamora filled us in on some of the gruesome details.
There was the little cat, it had blood on it and so forth.
That woman asked us not to show her face. Like others there, she's worried the man who San Antonio police call a cat killer might come back. She says the whole thing played out on video Sunday afternoon, but she saw it only after it was too late to help.
The man ran down here the stairs, he was falling down. So I'm not sure if that's what upset him or what, but he immediately got the cat and he started strangling him, and little kitty was crying.
SAPD released these photos hoping someone might recognize that man. People at the complex told me he was a stranger to them with some strange behavior.
Neighbors say even before this happened, they had noticed the man and some unusual behavior. Him walking up and down the stairs and all through these breezeways, and at one point trying to grab one of the cats.
Eventually, police say he did get his hands on one of the strays here and killed it.
I think that's awful. I think it's very criminal. If he can do that to a cat, what can he do to, human?
If police have their way, we won't have to find out. They're hoping to arrest that man quickly. Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Let's take a look at TransGuide out there right now. I-10 at Frio here. You can see all that backed up traffic is heading into downtown. This was a pretty similar picture at 5 o'clock. Doesn't look like traffic has sped up at all headed into downtown. Heavy traffic there. I-10 at Frio. Well, today is a very important day. It's Veterans Day, a time to recognize the heroes who have served America over generations.
So earlier today, our crews were at the Bexar County Buffalo Soldiers Association's Veterans Day ceremony.
Yeah, today we're here to honor the veterans of the past, current, and future, and their service to America.
Honoring the past is something that defines their work. The Bexar County Buffalo Soldiers Association is a multicultural group that pays tribute to the history of the Buffalo Soldier and Black Indian Scouts of the 1800s.
Now, part of their mission is to ensure young students are taught about their contributions in the Western United States during that era. Also today, a group of veterans enjoy the holiday on the golf course. A unique program is helping veterans find peace one swing at a time.
Our Madeline Lambert takes us to the course to see how this sport has become a form of therapy for some local veterans.
Hey, all right, good swing.
These veterans are enjoying the holiday playing golf.
Get in the hole.
This program teaches veterans how to play golf as a form of therapy. It's hosted by the Professional Golfers Association, or PGA.
I learned not only to enjoy the game and learn the game, I learned socialization through part of the progression of the weeks.
The golfing lessons are offered to veterans through PGA Hope. That stands for Helping Our Patriots Everywhere.
And it helped me out a lot personally because I have a lot of mental health issues. So just being around the community really helped me out.
PGA Hope has helped more than 50,000 military veterans get back into their community. It's free to join and you don't even need experience to play. Can you tell I never played before?
That sounded good. That looks good.
So it's really an open and inviting community that I've never been exposed to in my life before. And it's really heartwarming to me.
Put it down. There you go. Down.
These veterans are coached by professionals and have built a community through their hardships.
Okay, and then you swing. There you go.
What was I waiting for? So many years where basically in my isolation, I could have met so many other people, or I could have helped so many other people in all those years. It's time lost.
If you're a veteran interested in joining, you can find that information on our website at KSAT.com. Yeah, let's do a fun one. Woo! Madeline Lambert, KSAT 12 News.
Data centers like this are popping up in San Antonio and around the state. We map out where they are in town and tell you what one councilman thinks the city ought to do about it.
Plus, a local woman has come up with what she hopes will be a solution, a game changer when it comes to medical procedures and preventing medication errors. Coming up, I'll show you how it works.
All right, plus more cases of rabies in Bexar County. What you should do if you think you've come across an animal with that virus. All right, we are back now. The latest confirmed case of rabies in Bexar County has a county officials spreading the word for pet owners to get their pets vaccinated. So last week, a third fox confirmed to have rabies was captured in North Bexar County in the 24,000 block of Invitation Oak. And before that, 2 other rabid foxes were found in the 27,000 block of Mark Wayne. The director of the Bexar County Public Health Department says, fortunately, there have been no reported human exposure to rabies, but she says one pet was, and she says rabies vaccine was up to date in this particular case. Now, rabies can be spread from animals to humans and is expensive to treat, but she says it is easy to prevent.
We don't consider this to be a
cause for urgent concern of the public, but we're just reminding everyone, vaccinate your pets for rabies. That is the best way to prevent this, and it is 100% preventable if you get those vaccinations.
Now, Dr. Guerrero says if you come across an animal behaving usual, that appears to be foaming at the mouth, acting aggressive toward you, or approaches you during the day, make sure that you and your pets do not make any contact with it. Call the Bexar County Animal Control. The number is right there on the screen, and tell them where you saw the animal, and they will come out to investigate.
Take a look at this photo here. Not only does this look like a scary emergency, it also looks chaotic. So many machines, cords, and IVs all connected to one patient. A local woman created something that she believes can help nurses and doctors avoid confusion and potentially avoid medication mistakes. That's the cause of death for roughly 200,000 patients every single year. I spoke with Elizabeth Friedman about her invention, and what stands out to me is just how simple it is.
So in 50% of the facilities, there's nothing used at all.
No labels at all.
No labels at all. Some people, this is a nurse workaround.
A piece of tape or a sticker used to label medication in an IV bag.
So this can get wet and it can smudge. You can't read it. You can't depend on it.
Elizabeth Friedman is the founder and CEO of Safin, the company that developed these. Plastic tags to clearly label what kind of medication is flowing through an IV line.
58% of medication errors with IV lines is due to line labeling confusion.
Meaning people just don't know what the
confused.
medication is.
Correct. The tag has a channel on the inside for the line to sit inside, and it clips on. That's it.
That's
it's one clip. That's it. And
That's
it just
so
sits there.
simple.
It's so simple. This communication is visual and it's tactile, and there is no technology in it.
You can see it, you can feel it.
Circles are for non-high alert. Triangles mean high alert. Here's the insulin tag. Here's our sedation tag, and these can be felt through 2 gloves.
Friedman says these tags are not just for nurses and doctors, they're for patients too.
It gives you the opportunity to have some knowledge of what you're receiving. You, the patient, or the patient advocate.
Safin tags have been on the market for about a year and are being used in medical facilities in several states.
What is your hope for this product?
I wanted to make the world a safer place for all patients. And one day we will all be a patient somewhere, sometime, somehow.
So right now, the Safin tags are not currently being used in San Antonio. Of course, Friedman hopes to change that. Tomorrow on the news at 6, you will meet a woman whose mother died from a medication error. And now her daughter has created something, a potentially life-saving resource that you might want to check out if you're a patient right now or before you perhaps become one. We'll share that story tomorrow here at 6 o'clock. All right, Adam, talking about the forecast and this up and down. Are we on a
Please
roller
go
coaster,
up more.
or is it
Please
sort
go
of a
up.
slow climb?
Yeah, we're at that part of the roller coaster where they just buckled you in, right? You're testing your bars and your safety, and you can cling, 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 cling.
I want to get off. I want to get off.
Too late, can't do it. And so mornings are going to be much warmer. I mean, this morning we really bottomed out, but tomorrow we're at 50, then we're in the low 60s before you know it, and mornings in the 60s, very spring-like, way above average for this time of year, just around the corner, especially by Friday and this weekend. Now, earlier today, 38, our morning low temperature. Now, not record-breaking territory, record 26, but way below the average low of 51. It was brief, a brief little taste of winter, if you will. Kerrville briefly had a freeze at 32, same with Hondo. Uvalde, 35, Carrizo Springs, 32 earlier this morning. Cotulla, Laredo, those are errors. They didn't have lows of 72 degrees. I can promise you that. Temperatures right now in the 60s and falling off, but not as fast as what we had yesterday at this time. So 69 at the airport right now. By 10 o'clock, we're at 60. Midnight, we're at 57. And then tomorrow morning, we start the day right near 50 here downtown and in the upper 40s in outlying areas and a few mid 40s in the hill country, including Bandera, Pipe Creek at about 45. Now notice we warm up quickly again. 76 at noon. 81 for the high temperature, so warmer all around tomorrow. And a south wind not quite as gusty at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. So 81 here in town tomorrow. Floresville, Pleasanton, Jourdanton, 83 for the high. Utopia at 80 and Uvalde topping out at 82. Now, rain chances not looking as good as they previously were. Unfortunately, we really need the rain, but only at about 20% chance the early and middle part of next week, Monday, Tuesday, and I think even on into Wednesday. It's a finicky upper level pattern that we're getting in. The warm high, the warm bubble is over the southwestern U.S. It's going to drift our way a little bit in the days ahead. But what we're really watching is for these systems coming out of Alaska and out of the Pacific that are going to dig southward, but then they cut themselves off and pinch off from the main steering flow in the upper levels. And then they just drift, which makes them notoriously difficult to predict beyond about 2 or 3 days away. So we had hopes that this could bring us rain this upcoming weekend. That doesn't look like the case anymore. It's slower and likely to pass farther to the north. Then there's one on its heels by this time next week that could give us a little bit of rain-making energy. And that's that 20% chance Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But because of the path of those cut-off upper lows that are very slow-moving, the real rain and higher elevation snow, that's going to be in California and parts of the West Coast. Around here, just a little chance here and there. Right now we're at 69, dew point of 34, but dew points really do rise in the days ahead, and it's going to feel spring-like and muggy by Friday into the upcoming weekend. You'll notice that mugginess, and that means some morning fog Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for the morning commutes. Again, feeling like spring. Mornings in the 60s, some humidity, and afternoons in the 80s. Outside right now with our live cam. Clear skies, calming winds, dry air, temperatures cooling off pretty efficiently. But again, our low point was early this morning and not as cold in the days ahead. We have our Tuesdays with the mayor coming right up.
A Runge ISD employee is accused of having an improper relationship with a student. Tonight, she's out of jail. The Karnes County Sheriff's Office says that Andrea Melba Rodriguez was taken into custody Monday and charged with tampering with evidence. Investigators say Rodriguez confessed to having a relationship with a middle school student. Investigators say Rodriguez destroyed evidence and could face additional charges. We have reached out to Runge ISD to see if Rodriguez is still employed with the district, but have not heard back.
Meanwhile, some scary moments at Medina Valley ISD where a loaded rifle magazine was found in one of the bathrooms at Ladera Elementary School. And nobody was hurt, no shots were fired. But in a letter to parents, the school principal says a student later admitted to bringing the magazine to school. There was no weapon on campus and there were no threats made to the school. So we want to take this opportunity to remind you, if you see something, say something, because you could ultimately end up saving lives.
All right, don't go anywhere. Our KSAT Q&A with Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones is coming up after the break. It is Tuesdays with the Mayor here on the KSAT Q&A. We are joined once again by Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones. Thanks for being here.
Hey, folks.
Who just so happened to serve in the Air Force. Yes. First of all, thank you for that. Your sister, she's a drill instructor, right?
Yes, proudly. She's a proud member of the Filipino Mafia. And in the Navy, as she will tell you, our service, my uncle joined the U.S. Navy through the Steward program. This is a program that was started after World War II, and it allowed the U.S. Navy to go recruit only from the Philippines. That's the only country it applied to. But you know, those young men wanted a chance at their American dream, so they signed up. And when they signed up, they were limited in what they could do. You could only be a cook or supply or a couple of other things. But again, my uncle joined and would serve 20 years. And to this day, I mean, that's why you continue to have an over-representation of Filipino Americans, not only in the Navy, but across all the military services. Yeah. So, you know, thankful, obviously, for all of our veterans, my brothers and sisters in arms that served. Today was a busy day. We had there was a Veterans Day celebration that coincided with the cenotaph rededication, and then spent the morning as well with the Buffalo Soldiers out at the National Cemetery. So very thankful for all of the veterans in our community. I must say, top of mind for me, though, are my fellow veterans that are in their second phase of service, many of them federal workers. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, the tens of thousands that are either furloughed or showing up to work and not getting paid. Yeah. On top of the roughly 1.2 million veterans in our country that are also SNAP recipients, whose SNAP benefits are paused. So Thankful for their service. Obviously, we need to do right and keep the promise that we made and understand how this federal shutdown, the longest now in our country's history, continues to fall on the most vulnerable and on those who have served our country.
Last time you were here, we talked about the ways that the city was helping people who have been affected by the shutdown. Has that money, have those resources been all handed out at this point?
Not all of it. There is we are trying to make sure all those cards get out. I took the time to actually go to one of the senior centers, the one on South Presa in District 5. Kind of broke my heart, I'll be honest with you. Two of the folks that I handed cards out to, seniors, were in fact veterans themselves. And so we're working very hard to get all of those cards out. I think based on the money that has come in, we're about just shy of 7,000 cards that we'll be able to get out. Again, each of those, each recipient that will get $150. But again, hopefully the government is up and running. Hopefully they, frankly, backfill those folks and make people as whole as possible.
Those are the HEB gift cards you were talking about,
Those are the HEB gift cards, yes. Again, thanks to the businesses that were very generous and helped to make that happen. Of course, the city staff that helped also distribute those.
Yeah, because we've had viewers reaching out to us asking how they can get them. So I think it was to your point, if everything's been handed out yet.
So, I mean, we are trying to utilize the infrastructure for those folks that get their benefits largely through the city. But if folks have any question, they should call the city line and see about where they can get those.
Okay. I want to ask you about post-election. Last time you were here, we were, looking towards election night. We know now that Props A and B passed, county funding for the Spurs Arena. The city has its own funding to consider. So now that that has passed, what does that mean for talks about the city dollars and how that could be, hammered out into a much more firm deal than it is now?
Yeah, well, I continue to think we need an independent study, and we will get that. We talked actually about the process moving forward to get that. We will issue an RFP, request for proposal, to make sure that, again, there's much more transparency into that and make sure that we get our questions answered so we can explain to voters about what they're going to get as a result of this generational investment. So thankful of that. And we will also, again, there are some aspects of the term sheet that I know there's some questions about refining. So, we're going to make sure we move forward, make sure there's a real clear plan. I think we heard not only from the 52%, we also heard from the 48%, right, that wanted much more transparency and a much clearer idea of how their resources were going to be invested. So we look forward to laying that out here shortly.
I guess, were you surprised that the vote ended up being that close for both propositions?
I'll be honest, I wasn't tracking too closely the first one.
Fair.
Prop A.
B in particular.
Prop B, I guess I wasn't super surprised. I mean, I literally was, the voters are going to decide.
Yeah.
I think it was, when you looked at the map, I don't know if you remember the map, right? The map was pretty clear. You almost could have drawn a line down the map in terms of kind of where it was supported and where.
The green and the blue that showed who voted.
Where it was not. I mean, it almost followed exactly 35, to be frank. So look, I think what I'm less concerned, the percentage that shows 52 to 48% shows that there are folks that we still need to do a lot of convincing to make sure that everyone understands. And I think what's really important, I share this with my colleagues, is that we're not only thinking about, the area around the proposed arena. No. We need to think about our revitalized downtown. And for me, that includes the baseball stadium, right? Oh, by the way, that term sheet is also non-binding. So that baseball arena, that area, and then the stadium as the arena, as well as what it means for the east side. So this is an opportunity. This is not 3 projects. This is one revitalized downtown. And when we think about affordable housing, we think about public transit, we think about a livable downtown. Those are the things that are going to be guiding certainly our negotiations.
Do you want to see voters weigh in on this city funding? Do you want to call for another election for the city dollars? My
focus at this point is making sure that we've got the good data, right? And so I think that independent analysis is going to give us a really good idea of how we lay our chips. Because as I've said repeatedly, it's not just the arena. It is also the convention center. It is also renovations to the Alamo Dome. And that PFZ, $2 billion over 30 years, we've got to make sure that we are distributing that appropriately, and an independent analysis will help us do that.
Okay, I'll be curious to see if that analysis gives you a clearer idea if you want to call for that second election. We'll ask you again. Thanks for.
I know you will. Yes.
Appreciate your
Mayor.
time, and again, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And happy Veterans Day.
All right, we'll step aside and be right back.
When San Antonio needs help, San Antonio shows up. And yesterday, that was proved right once again at the Fill the Truck food drive at Pinstack on 410. Before sunrise, the giving spirit was already rolling. Our very first donation came in at 7:19, and from there, the generosity never slowed down.
There you go. Go for it, y'all. Put it in there.
By day's end, San Antonio packed the truck with more than 16,000 pounds of non-perishable food, diapers, and pet food.
How many meals does that equal for the San Antonio community?
Yeah, this amount of food around, I mean, that's the equivalent of 13,333 meals, right? Just think about it. All those people, one meal, that's 13,300 people who are going to eat tomorrow because of everybody's generosity today.
And in a powerful show of support, Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union stepped up with a $25,000 donation to the San Antonio Food Bank, helping to ensure no family goes without food during this critical time.
When you think about $25,000, that turns into about 250,000 pounds of food. Wow. That truck over there, there'd be about 12 of those. So it goes a long way in helping us set the table for families in need.
And the impact doesn't stop here. You can continue to donate and support local families at safoodbank.org, or to get more information, visit our website, KSAT.com. For KSAT 12 News, I'm David Elder.
Last night around this time, we had a coronal mass ejection from the sun. Basically a big burp from the sun, and you'll see it here. And look at all the ionized particles being spewed out 360 degrees away from the sun, and then some of it traveling in the solar wind at over a couple million miles per hour toward us. And there could be an aurora farther south than usual. We'll talk more about that and more about this geomagnetic storm in just a bit.
Data centers are popping up in San Antonio and all over Texas, but the centers, which house computer systems that power our lives online, have drawn some concern.
KSAT, though, has mapped out where a lot of these data centers are, and Garrett Berger tells us what one councilman wants the city to do about it.
They show up as dots across the city, especially around the Northwest Side district that Councilman Rick Galvan represents. Using data provided by Galvan's office, we've mapped out dozens of locations where Galvan says are data centers that are either here or on their way.
The map includes everything from a discrete spot in a Northside strip mall to large data centers on the Northwest Side, near where Steve Jenkins lives.
So do you have any objections to more data centers popping up?
If they're making noise like the Hoover over here, yes.
That happens a couple times a year, he says, but mostly he doesn't really notice them. But he has noticed more data centers coming in.
We have concerns, but we don't have the information about how they're using these resources and whether or not we're going to have any kind of priority when it comes time for trouble.
The Houston Advanced Research Center and University of Houston Energy produced a policy brief on data centers, which can draw a lot of power and water.
So water is a very precious resource, and folks are concerned that data centers are going to use up a lot of that.
A draft of a white paper by another researcher at HARC estimates Texas data centers could use 25 billion gallons of water this year. The San Antonio Water System says they are having more conversations with centers looking to come here.
And some of those are requiring a lot more water than we've seen in the past.
But SAWS also says large centers are often using recycled water instead of the drinkable stuff.
So they're using far less than even 1% of our potable water use, and probably 3 to 5% of the recycled water use. The existing data centers are not a huge drain on the SAWS system.
But in the future, is that a risk?
It is something that we need to pay attention to in the future as they increase their water usage.
Councilman Rick Galvan agrees and submitted a request last month for the city to look at opportunities for regulating the data centers and track data center resource needs for growth.
The worst thing we can possibly do here is that as more data centers come online, we're seeing larger requests for energy or water usage that it largely impacts our residents in terms of bills, that we're caught flat-footed as a community saying we're not too sure what's going to happen next.
Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
Check your pantry. A type of baby formula is being recalled across the country because it's linked to a botulism outbreak.
Yeah, so this affects all products made by the company ByHeart. Our Stephanie Jimenez looked into the recall, and she's here, by the way. First, Stephanie, so this comes after more than a dozen babies were hospitalized. So how are they?
Okay, so that's the most important question, right? They're doing okay. We know that the Centers for Disease Control says that 15 babies, including 2 from Texas, have been hospitalized since August after consuming the powdered infant formula from the company. Now, to be clear, all of them survived, but understandably, parents are concerned because botulism is really no joke, especially when you read about some of the side effects. It's nasty stuff. It can be life-threatening, not contagious, but it can lead to muscle paralysis and also affect breathing and other parts of the body. And of course, because babies can't explain how they're feeling, we spoke with a doctor who explains what types of symptoms parents should be looking out for if they've given babies the infant formula that's under recall.
If the baby's been exposed to this particular formula and they're seeing any symptoms that show that the baby seems weaker, a weaker cry, a weaker suck, difficulty feeding, most definitely difficulty breathing, would mean you absolutely need to seek medical care immediately.
Federal investigators say that they haven't identified any other infant formula brands or other sources of exposure in this outbreak. But the bottom line here is if you have formula from By Heart, don't give it to your baby, and also contact the company.
Yes, Myra, Ernie, and Stephania, a sunburp. That's what we had last night. A sunburp. It's coronal mass ejection. It happens a decent amount of time, especially now that we're at the peak of our 11-year sun cycle. And basically, it's a bunch of ionized material and plasma, magnetic field being spewed out into space, carried by the solar wind. And it can cause the aurora. Right? It often does, especially at the northern latitudes. Now, this level of geomagnetic storm, a G4 is what we're expecting tonight and into tomorrow, is on the higher end. And it could have there's a slight chance it could impact GPS and some satellite interruptions. That's one of the side effects of these geomagnetic storms. And one of the reasons why we track them as well, the NOAA Space Weather Prediction Center. So this would be a level 4 out of 5, where historically in level 4s, the aurora or northern lights has been seen as far south as Alabama and Northern California. Sometimes when we get a high-end 4 or especially a 5, we can get the aurora down in south central Texas. I don't think we'll be able to see it. Definitely not in San Antonio around any lights, but keep in mind our camera phones are more sensitive than our eyes to actually seeing the aurora when our eyes can't see it. I gave it a 20% chance tonight and before sunrise tomorrow that looking off to the north, maybe the hill country could get a quick glimpse through a camera phone. What we're watching is the K index right here. Notice how it just bumped up over the past 3 hours. That should continue to rise through the night. And of course, I'll have an update on the night beat. And Justin Horn, J-Ho, the weather bro, as we like to call him, will be in on GMSA to track it for you before sunrise. Right now, we're in the upper 60s, cooling off though. 63 by 8 o'clock. By 10 o'clock, we're at 60 degrees. And tomorrow morning, we start the day right near 50. So not as cold tomorrow morning. Still a bit of a chill in the air. Many locations in the mid to upper 40s, Hondo 44, 48 Pleasanton. Meanwhile, 50 New Braunfels and 47 in Bulverde. Oh, speaking of New Braunfels, it's Worst Fest. Yes, beacons the fun. I'm going to be there live tomorrow. Oh, get ready, New Braunfels. All right, 50 in the morning, 76 at noon, 81 for the high temperature, wall-to-wall sunshine tomorrow. A cool morning, but we warm up pretty quickly, and then it's downright spring-like. Look at this. Mornings back into the 60s by Friday, afternoons in the 80s starting tomorrow, and just a 20% chance of rain as we get into next week. Increasing humidity means morning fog Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I also, on my own time, paid a visit to Worst Fest on Saturday. It was crowded, but it was worth it, and oh, we had a good time. I'll be there live 5 and 6 tomorrow from Worst Fest, bringing you the weather.